Well, they're not being persuaded to back a fascist. They're not being persuaded to back a regime that is occupying American cities, that is starting unnecessary foreign entanglements, that is trampling on the Constitution. They're not into that, Michael. I think you know that. I think everybody paying attention knows that. And anybody who's been watching the election returns for the last 15 months in special elections and off-year elections has seen that. The regime is being crushed every time there are free and fair elections, which is why I believe they are ramping up threats against our democratic infrastructure, because they are worried about free and fair elections taking away their power, and they don't want a fair fight. They do not want a fair fight. The bad news for them is that's not up to them. That is not up to them. And part of the point of showing up with the largest protest in history on March 28th, as I believe we will do for No Kings 3, is to show them and everybody else that democracy is reasserting itself whether they like it or not.
I fundamentally agree with you on the democracy argument and the rejection of fascism. I also think this conversation would be different, Ezra, if the economy were working for everyday Americans. We know in our own lived experience, anecdotally, it is not. It's also what voters are saying in polling. This is an AP NORC poll. The question was, do you approve or disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling his job as president? That number was 62% disapprove, 36% approving. And it's interesting to me because those numbers almost exactly mirror, Ezra, the question on the economy. What share of Americans approve of the president's job? Wait, this is asking the same question, right? There was an economy question in here somewhere. You get the idea, though, which is like, I think it is a 1-2 punch. And I think that's part of what you saw in Virginia and in New Jersey. You lead with affordability, you talk about the economy, but you land on this question of democracy.
Alicia, you took the words out of my mouth. It's something that we say at Indivisible all the time, this 1-2 punch. Because Trump won in 2024 on the argument that he wasn't part of the status quo, that he was going to lower the price of eggs and bread, that he was going to get you a better job, that he was going to make the economy work for you. And part of the argument is the affordability argument. He's not doing any of that. He's clearly not doing that. People are not better off now than they were before. But the other part is, why isn't he doing any of that? He's not doing any of that because he's focusing on enriching himself, on attacking Venezuela or Greenland, on terrorizing the Twin Cities. What is he up to? It makes no sense. Why would this guy deserve more power, another 2 years of Congress? That's an easy argument to make because it makes sense to everybody watching what's going on. And when we show up in force on March 28th with massive nonviolent protests, we put a spotlight on all the random other stuff he's doing rather than focusing on improving your life. And as we head into the general election, exactly as you said, 1-2 punch. He wants to be a king to enrich himself. He's selling you out. He's not doing anything for you. And that's a message that resonates with Democrats, resonates with independents, and registers with Republicans who voted for Trump hoping for something that they haven't gotten.
Yeah, I mean, look, President Obama has been in the news, obviously, as of late this week. He was at the All-Star game this weekend. But people forget many of the voters that voted for President Obama turned out and then voted for then President Trump in that 2016 election. So there is some connective tissue there. You told Mother Jones that we, as in Indivisible, are developing organizational capacity that allows us to pull off historic levels of engagement in between these tentpole events. So the No Kings protest is not just about the protest one day, just the one march. But I do think it is filling a gap and a void that people have. There are a lot of people that are fired up, that are paying attention. This idea that the voters aren't paying attention, I think is a bunch of BS. There are some people that are paying attention, but they're not as engaged. But there are a lot of Americans that are very engaged and looking for somewhere to put their energy, and they're not just trying to wait until the next election.
Look, I think that's really important. One thing that really bugs me, and I see Democrats do this sometimes too. They see a big crowd of people out in an off year and they say, all you people, remember to vote. And the response of the people in the crowd is like, what are you talking about, vote? There's a fascist in the White House and the election is a year away, or in this case, a little bit less than a year away. Give me something to do right now to stand up for my community. Give me something that I can do to actually show that I'm standing up for my rights. And what I think about on that, Simone, is 2 days after the murder of Alex Preddy in the Twin Cities, one reaction you could imagine that is people all over the country see that and say, oh, I don't want any of that. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to keep myself safe. I'm going to keep my head down. I'm not going to do anything in public that shows I'm against this regime. We offered a training, eyes on ice training, to train people on how to do exactly what Alex Preddy was doing, exactly what Renee Good was doing. Exercising their First Amendment rights to stand up in defense of their neighbors. We had more than 200,000 people join that training 2 days after Alex Preddy's murder. People are hungry to be part of the fight for democracy right now. No Kings is a big day protest. I think it's very important. But to your point, it's a one-day protest. That's not how we save democracy. It is a tool for growing the movement of people who are going to stand up in their own community in places like Gustavus, Alaska, population 665, or Coloma, California, population 372, Elkton, Oregon, population 183. Elkton, Oregon has a No Kings protest on the map for March 28th. There are going to be thousands of these events in blue states, in red states, in purple states, in urban communities, suburban communities, rural communities, because people want to be part of something in this moment. We're trying to give them an easy on-ramp to being part of something meaningful.
Well, I think that's an important aspect of this, Ezra. And, you know, I love the work. I applaud the work because it does, to Simone's point and question around engagement and what that looks like, means something. We've got about 30 seconds left. We got 1,000 events.
We have more than 1,000 events.
What does that translate into participation? What do you feel that's going to be, given the initial 2.5, now then 5 million people? What does this feel like for you?
Well, let me give you a sense of the trajectory. 3 million people at 1,300 events for Hands Off. 5 million people at 2,100 events for No Kings 1. 7 million people at 2,700 events for No Kings 2. We are currently on track to exceed No Kings 2. I promised y'all twice before the largest protest in history. I've proven that right in No Kings 1 and No Kings 2. I'm promising you again, this is going to be the largest protest in American history. It's going to be the largest protest in Twin Cities history, where the flagship event is. You can count on it, because I know people around the country are ready to do this.